So there's a new Gallup poll out, and this should teach Democrats an important lesson. My guess is they'll continue to ignore this, and that'll annoy the shit out of me. So take a look. In an era of increasingly tense U.S. Russian relations marked by allegations of Russian meddling in U.S. elections, Americans believe it is more important to try to continue efforts to improve relations between the countries, 58%, rather than taking strong diplomatic and economic steps against Russia. So do you understand what this means? So the position that the right historically has had when it comes to Russia is, yeah, we should just escalate and be on the brink of war with them. Historically, that's the right-wing position. The Democratic position has been, historically, not anymore, but historically, oh, you guys are crazy, you're too hawkish. We're not hawkish, but we would go after them in the economic realm, and, for example, we'd put sanctions on them to try to incentivize good behavior and disincentivize bad behavior. That's historically the way it's been. Now, in recent days, it's become Republicans and Democrats are both more hawkish against Russia. And so you have Republican politicians are prodding Donald Trump and saying, oh my God, you shouldn't be in favor of a détente with Russia. Lindsey Graham is on TV every other day telling Donald Trump, Russia's not our friend, they're evil, they're bad, and we need to step up, and we need to put more NATO troops on the border and more U.S. warships in the Black Sea right on their border. And now the Democrats, for political reasons, have decided, oh, Trump did treason, and so he's Vladimir Putin's puppet. He's like this Manchurian candidate, so we need to be tough on Russia and stand up to Russia. So you get two parties with one position. That position is escalate more with Russia, be more hawkish with Russia. Now, frankly, we're lucky if we only get a politician. The politicians who are the biggest doves, like Bernie Sanders, for example, even he's like, yeah, let's sanction the shit out of Russia more. And then he's apoplectic when you point out, like, hey, man, that's not really a left-wing position. Like, oh, more sanctions? That's not, the left position is let's talk. Let's negotiate, let's talk, let's sit down with each other, let's, cooling off period. That's the left position. But even Bernie's like, more sanctions, economic crackdown on these evil people. But now you see, again, this is a clear example of just how out of touch Washington is, because as they're scrambling and falling all over themselves to determine who's more hawkish on the issue of Russia and who's further to the right, look at what the American people want. 58% say it's more important to improve relations, and only 36% say diplomatic and economic steps, so sanctions. So the Overton window in Washington is way off to the right, where the positions are be hawkish and escalate and put more troops on the border, and sanctions is the other position. Here we have, hey, just talk with them. That's the most popular position. Just talk. Just try to fix it. Sit down and talk. That's what Americans want, 58%. And to Americans, the right-wing position, the further right position of diplomatic and economic steps, so sanctions, that's not even popular. And that's the furthest left you get in Washington, is just the sanctions position. So it really goes to show you, yes, Washington, D.C. is a swamp. That's what it is. They're all swamp things. And my position is I agree with what Obama used to say. Obama was all in favor of talking, negotiating, cooling off tensions. In fact, that was a winning political issue for him when Mitt Romney said we're still in the Cold War. Barack Obama famously said the 1980s called, they want their foreign policy back. He had a great line. He said Mitt Romney wants to take us back to the economic policies of the 1920s, which led to the Great Depression and trickle-down economics, cut taxes for the rich, deregulate. He wants to take us back to the social policies of the 1950s, like women in the kitchen type thing. And he wants to take us back to the foreign policy of the 1980s. I remember hearing that line and going, damn, son, you fucked up Romney there. 1980s called, they want their foreign policy back. Yes, yes, Governor, we have fewer horses and bayonets as well. That's not a bad thing. Things evolve, things change. I was like, damn. So I agree with Obama. I think that talking is always a good thing. And the whole point is you're supposed to want to talk to your enemies. It's easy to talk to your allies. That's called Tuesday. You pick up the phone and talk to your allies, of course. But will you try to talk to your enemies and fix things? That's the harder thing to do. And that's where you get smeared in the DC swamp and with the elite media. But that's the way to fix problems. And that's what Americans want. So they're so out of touch and they have no clue, and it's infuriating.